Well, thank you, band. Come on in, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to our Volunteer Celebration Sunday service for August 23rd, 2026. We are delighted that you have joined us today. Every soul is welcome here. To our beloved online community, we would love to connect with you, so please reach out in person or online. Your presence is a gift to our community. Today, we have our beloved husband and wife team, Joshua and Amy Whiteland. That dynamic duo will honor all of our wonderful volunteers with a talk entitled Love in Action, followed by team recognitions and a volunteer fair. Today's message reveals that service is more than something we do. It is love made visible. Joshua and Amy will explore how serving others can move us beyond the separate self and reconnect us with God, one another, and our deeper purpose. Drawing from the teachings of Jesus, Richard Rohr and Florence Scovel Shinn will discover how serving and showing up for one another can become a powerful spiritual practice, and how the love we give often transforms us as much as those we serve. Now let's join Julie Reagans, Curtis Brengle, Carl Losciavo, and Robin Mordecai as we sing our welcome song.
Join me as we affirm our statement of faith. There is only one presence, one power, active in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. And now let us unite our spirits as we hold this vision for our church. We are an open-hearted, spiritual community, powerfully transforming our world by honoring the sacred in all. And we practice this mission. Inspired by our shared spiritual awakening, we offer practical teachings that empower healthy, abundant, and meaningful living. Today's daily word is radiance, and the affirmation is, aligned with my divine nature, I am a beacon of light for others. God is the light in my life. I give thanks every day for the wondrous blessings of the divine and the peace and strength I derive from my faith. I am a spiritual being, fully human and fully divine. The light of God shines from within me, and my confidence grows as I embrace my divine nature. As I live and love more fully and authentically, the joy within me multiplies and I become simply radiant. The world can feel dark and dull and needs all the light and sparkle it can get. As greater numbers of people discover the power of God within them and express the fullness of their true selves, the world will glow with our collective radiance. And now from 2 Peter 1:19, you will do well to be attentive to this as to a lamp shining in a dark place until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your hearts. Now for our centering prayer with Molly Steele.
Now let's take all this love and energy into prayer. God, Source, whatever you choose to call that energy out there in the universe, thank you for this day, a celebration day of our volunteers. And we're even going to give you the joy of a volunteer fair, not a job fair, but a volunteer fair after the service today. And we invite all of you to stay and to partake. And of course, we love food in this church, so there'll be plenty of that. There'll be joy, communion, enjoying each other, and learning what goes on in this church. Because, you know, this church is our spiritual home. And just like the home that you pay rent for, a mortgage for, or at least you have to pay taxes if you own it, and you have to pay insurance, well, this church needs maintenance. It needs care. It needs love. And that means that all of you here today and all of you online are aware of that. Now, all of you online, you contribute to us too. Your love makes a difference. You're paying attention to signing in on Sunday is very important because we feel your energy, even though you aren't in this room. For all of us in this room, there are so many ways that we can serve this church. And I know that we live in a very, very busy time. But guess what? We have volunteer things that people do that maybe they only show up for a few times a year and for a few hours. Then we have the joy of just coming in on Sunday and standing at one of the doors and greeting people. So you don't have to do any preparation, you just love. There's so many other things that we can do. And we've even had people come up with ideas for ways to volunteer that nobody thought of, but were perfect. So please enjoy today, because when you volunteer, you get to know this community better. You get to know what makes it work. And I'll tell you a secret. This is one of the tools that I found in Unity that has been so helpful to me, and it's volunteering. You know why? I have a selfish reason. It's an opportunity to give, but it's also an opportunity to get back much more than I give. And I'm very thankful for that, and I want all of you to experience that. Thank you, God. Thank you for this home. Thank you for all of us. It's a glorious day. Let's celebrate. Amen.
I've been running in circles, jumping the hurdles, getting caught in the rush, doing so much, kind of feeling worn out. Was checking the boxes, trying to be flawless. That's me spinning my head, catching my breath, too afraid to slow down.
Tell myself, keep this up. God wants more than just my love. I've been complicating things, just like me to overthink. Gotta keep it real simple. Bring everything right back to ground zero. Till it all comes down to this: love God and love people.
had me in the feels there for a minute. So good morning. Thank you all for being here. Amy and I are so honored to be here and to talk about the celebration. Thank you. Of our volunteer celebrations, but we're going to do this in two parts. We were going to do kind of a back and forth, but we got a lot going on today. So I'm going to go, and then Amy's going to go. Are you with us? Yeah. Sound good. Thank you. All right. So let's see here. What time is it? It's almost 11:15. I got to get my time right because there's a lot going on here. So basically, from the bottom of the hour or so. So if I start to go if I go past 11:35, somebody give me a thumbs up. All right. So we're very grateful to be up here this morning. The band, you're beautiful. I mean, man, that was absolutely amazing. And as Amy and I have been reflecting on service, we've come to realize that we are here today because of service. Not just service in coming up here to talk or in our work, but literally we are here because of service. And I call service, volunteering. We call it volunteering, but to me it's service. And so, I looked at a lot of stuff and how much service has been important in our lives. And yesterday, actually, Amy and I celebrated 2 years married. It's our second anniversary. And we close on a house. We're closing on a house September 1st. And yes. And if you know what it's like to buy a house and go through all that process, it can be stressful, right? But it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that for Amy or for me. And we've come a long ways. And the reason of that is because of service. And when we think of service, Amy in our marriage, we call that love in action. And we write that into our vows of that we wanted to be a service-driven couple, that we give our lives into service and dedicate our lives to service. But we call that love in action. And love is actually a verb. Who knew that? So verb is an action word, right? So it's one thing to love, but it's another thing to be love in action. And so I want to kind of take you through that. I want to kind of take you a little bit through what that service journey looked like. I was going to speak on all of these different topics, but due to time, I'm going to weave those topics in, and I think that's going to bring the point across. So as many of you have heard, I think last Christmas I got up here on the fly. Finn called me and said, "Hey, someone's sick. Can you step in?" I jumped up here. I didn't have a talk, so I just gave you my testimonial. I gave you my journey. And so I'm going to revisit some of that today because it's important into the talk of service and as we celebrate our volunteers and celebrate service in this community. So as many of you know, I recovered from alcoholism 7 years ago, almost 7 years ago in December. But before I went in there, I wasn't the guy married. I wasn't the guy buying the house. I was a guy who was very sick, who was suffering significantly, more than you could ever imagine. Alcoholic hepatitis, criminal problems, things that were going on in my life, PTSD from the war. It was not an easy road whatsoever, but it was worth it. And so when I say service, I'm standing here from that moment when I went into those rooms for alcoholism and sat in a chair and drank a cup of coffee and heard a message that changed my entire life. And somebody had to set that chair up. Somebody had to make that coffee. Somebody had to give me a warm welcome and embrace so that I felt safe and so I felt comfortable. Somebody had to do the tiniest thing. Somebody had to take out the trash. Somebody had to vacuum the floor. Somebody had to take care of the yard, or at the time they were paving the road because the parking lot had gotten all messed up. And somebody had to do that. Somebody had to have a committee. Somebody had to clean the bathrooms. There was somebody involved in every single part of that. Now, I know not everybody in here is alcoholic, but Richard Rohr talks about the alcoholic as being like a thinkaholic. And who in here has thoughts? And in Alcoholics Anonymous, they say that the problem is not the alcohol, that the problem is centered in our thinking. Now, it's easy to see the alcoholic, right? Because the alcoholic is making problems in their lives. It's very outwardly. They're destroying their family. They're having a lot of problems, right? It's easy to see that. But how easy is it to see the thinkaholic? Not so easy, right? Not so easy. So whenever I talk about alcoholism or I talk about changing or healing, and if that doesn't relate to you, I just want you to change the word to thinkaholic. And in fact, if you took the questions you would ask to see if somebody's an alcoholic and change the word drink to think, you might fit in. So it might be like, when you wake up, do you think first thing in the morning? What about do you think alone? Do you feel remorseful after a long night of thinking? Okay. And in many of my talks, as I've gotten up here, and if you've been here, I've talked a lot about our thoughts. Amy and I, we teach neuroscience for a living, and we realize how powerful our thoughts are. Not only are they creating our life, but it's also creating our state of being. And it's also producing chemicals and stress in our body, and that manifests for all of us in different ways. Mine specifically with alcohol, somebody else could be with spending money, it could be in all kinds of ways. But the point is, it comes to this point where I need healing, where I need change, right? I can't keep going that way. I've got to do something different. And we can all relate to that, into oneness, into unity. So back to the story, Josh comes into AA, and I get a sponsor, and the first thing, this is what they tell me, and this I feel applies to everybody in this room. They say that we have three problems. So they call alcoholism a disease, or we can call it a thinking disease. There's three problems to it, right? One is that for the alcoholic, is that you have a mental obsession. So who can agree that maybe many of us have at times had mental obsessions, right? And to treat the mental obsessions, I need to work the steps. But what we could say really is what you just need is a new program. Because the old program's not working, you need a new program. Now, you can get that program from anywhere. You can get that program from here. You can get that program from other books, other ways of life, 12 steps. But you need a new program of action to change the way that you're thinking. Then the second part is said that I have a physical allergy. That means that when I put it in me, I can't stop doing it. I have an adverse reaction to it, where some people can drink it and they can put it down. Once it enters my body, it activates like an allergy, and I'm going to keep pouring it in until it's oblivion, right? So to treat the physical allergy, I have to come to meetings to be around community, to bring my body to a place with other people with bodies and be around them, and that treats the physical allergy. Now the third, and one of the biggest, is I have a spiritual malady. And the spiritual malady is only treated through service. That is it. Spiritual malady is treated through service. So in doing all those things, you get a sponsor. I'm going to meetings, treating the physical allergy. I'm working the 12 steps. I'm treating the mental obsession. Now Josh has got to be of service. So the first thing to do is they give me a key to the building. And I was shocked because anybody would trust me with a key to this building, right? And they told me that they wanted me to chair meetings on these nights. They said they wanted me to clean the bathroom. They said they wanted me to vacuum the floor, right? And at first, you kind of balk at that, like, I'm gonna vacuum the floor. And they told me, somebody vacuumed the floor when you came in here. Somebody set the chair up when you came in here. Somebody drove somebody to a meeting. Somebody went to a hospital. And this service began to expand. And I began to realize that the more I spent in service, the more I got out of myself. The more, because I don't know about y'all, but I may not be much, but I'm all I think about. And sometimes my friends, they'll call me and they'll be like, hey, Josh, what are you doing? And I'll be like, nothing, just sitting here thinking about myself, in some form or fashion, right? And whenever I am in either thinking about myself or had too much of self, or I'm spinning into myself, into self-pity and many other variations of self that come out of that form, the only way out of it is service. The only way out of it is for me to turn my attention on how I can be of service to somebody else. And it's not about calling them and telling them my problems. It's calling them and helping them with what they're going through. Because guess what? When I start helping them, mine seem to take care of themselves, right? Mine seem to work out just like that they're supposed to. But it doesn't matter the level of service. As I continued down that journey, the service began to get greater. Then they signed me up at the hospital, and I had to carry around this phone. And doctors could not help the alcoholic. The doctor with 10 years of education and all the medications and medical science at their disposal would call us because they knew that they could do nothing. They could do nothing for the alcoholic. They could not stop that person from going back out and drinking. They would call us. So I would go in there, and I remember I'd have to fill out this form. It said like clergy, and I was like, am I clergy? but I'd go in there and I would talk to this person, and sometimes it worked, most of the time it wouldn't. Most of the time, it would be these people would die in some way, spiritual death or a physical death, but some did. Some did come, and some did come through, and some changed their lives. But that level of service continued, and I learned service. I remember one day I was like, we call it about I'm about to stick my head in the oven, and I call my sponsor, and I'm just like, blah, 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 right? My life, my problems. And my sponsor says, do you have anything going on today? And I was like, no. And he goes, okay, good. I want you to get in your car, and I want you to drive around to every truck stop in the town. This is North Texas, Wichita Falls, and I want you to clean the toilets. And he said, I want you to not tell a soul. But while you're doing it, what I want you to think about is that person that's going to get to come in there and sit on a clean toilet. And maybe it's a little bit less about you and more about others. I wasn't real happy, but I did it because I didn't want to drink. He said either do that or go drink. And I didn't want to drink. And I'd written, they get you in the beginning, right? You have to write in the front of your book, I'm willing to go to any lengths to overcome alcohol. So whenever I balk at something, he goes, can you open the first page of your book? What'd you write there? I'm willing to go to any lengths to overcome alcohol. Well, even to this point, I'm willing to go to any lengths to overcome my thoughts. I'm willing to go to any lengths to overcome Josh. I'm willing to go to any lengths to have a greater spiritual experience and to serve others. But as that happened, my life began to change. More opportunities kept coming my way. I had an opportunity to go to a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat through service, through a foundation that paid my way to go do that. And as soon as I did that, because of the good alcoholic that I am, coming from that program, the first thing I thought to myself was, how do I want to do this more? Then I knew the entrance was the service door, was to go and be of service. So how can I be of service? How can I be of service to this organization? And I began to volunteer, but my very, very, very first volunteer opportunity, I walked in, and I hadn't walked in actually. They put you on a sheet and they assign you a volunteer buddy, and that person's supposed to help you along your journey, and that person was Amy. So you see where I'm going with service. Everything I have today is because of service. AA started to run me around, and they started scheduling speaking engagements for me, and I'd made a commitment that if anybody asked me to speak, I would say yes. Didn't matter where it was, what time it was, how long it had to be, or what it needed to be about. I would get up there, and I would do it, and I would get myself out of the way so that I could give a message that would help others. That brings me to this day. So I still do that. So when Amy and I got married, we decided that we were going to live a life of service and that we dedicate our lives to this power that's greater than ourselves, because we realized that our healing came through that service, that our lives came through that service, that my marriage came through that service, that my sobriety came through that service, that was the true aspect of spirituality and the practice of spirituality into our lives. Richard Rohr talks about it in the book Breathing Underwater, and it's a great book, and it talks about the 12 steps and spirituality. And he breaks it down so that if you're not alcoholic, that it makes sense to you. And those 12 steps are, the way he breaks it down, are phenomenal. And what he really talks about is that service piece, which is that 12th step for us, for having a spiritual awakening, that I tried to carry the message to others. But I think in unity, we talk about through a shared spiritual awakening, right? And we talk about in AA that if I want to keep it, I have to give it away. I can't hang on to it. I can't hang on to my healing. Richard Rohr talks about what they call spiritual consumerism, which means that if I keep going on and I keep saying, well, my healing and my journey, and I'm still on my road to healing, I'm still on this. No, what they're saying is that you are healed. Now go help others. And in that statement, and really what Richard Rohr is saying, maybe the whole reason we are healed is to help others. The whole reason we have that shared spiritual awakening is to carry that spiritual awakening, because that energy, that love in action has to flow through us and out of us. It has to move outward. It can't just stay in here. I can't just hang on to it and keep it. It's not like, I got sober, screw y'all, I'm heading to the house, right? That's not what it's about. At least that's not what it's about to me. So it's through that service that we find love. And because something magical happens. Because when I'm sitting across that table, or I'm sitting, and I've done it, sitting at the jail with a guy. Actually, I had a guy I was sponsoring, and I won't say any names. But I was sponsoring him, and I kept inviting him over to my house to work the steps at the time, and he kept blowing me off, and he wouldn't show up, and I'd make the coffee, and I would sit there, and then I wouldn't get mad, and I would just go on, and he'd call me and say, I'm really sorry, I missed it, I got busy, can I come tomorrow? I'd say, absolutely, sure, I'll be here. So I'd make the coffee, and he blew me off again. Well, the next day, he got arrested. And he called me from jail and he said, would you be willing to help me? And the jail was about 40 minutes away. And I said, absolutely. So I drove to the jail on Saturdays, and he sat there with handcuffs and a rubber pencil and worked the steps. And I said, wouldn't it have been a lot easier at my house, you know? But when you are sitting there across from that person and you see yourself in them and you're helping them and you know that they think that you're reading their mail because you know their thoughts. And why do you know your thoughts? Because we are the same, right? I know what you're doing. And because I've done it. And this is how I walked through that. So breathing underwater means I've been in this water. I know how to breathe under here. Does the water go away? No, but I know how to breathe. Before I didn't know how to breathe underwater. Now I do, and now I'm teaching others how to breathe underwater. And that's the power of change. With the game of life and how to play it, Florence Scovel Shin, the other day, I was very stressed about something, and I have another close friend that he just got fired. He just got fired from work, and I love this man. He's my brother, and he wouldn't tell me. He was too ashamed to talk to me about it. And the only reason I know is because the girls had talked, and his wife had talked to my wife, and I knew about it, but I was going to give him the dignity and the honor and not bring it up to him. But I very much cared about him, and I very much wanted to be there for him. And at the same time, I was struggling with my own thing, right? I'm getting this house and worthiness and, credit and lenders, they're looking at every little piece. Don't spend any money, don't do this, It's a whole process. But I was stressed about it too. So I opened up this book, The Game of Life. It's page 20 and 21. And it talks about holding a vision for one another, in that because I can be of service to somebody else. This is the best thing I can do for someone else, is hold a vision for them. I just talked about it at the men's breakfast last month, but I hold a vision because I'm not emotionally attached. All I did was screenshot the pages. I sent it to my buddy. He immediately calls me. He's in tears. He's like, I needed those 2 pages more than you ever know. And I said, I thought maybe so. How can I serve you? How can I help you? And he told me the whole story about what was going on in his life, and I sat there and I listened. And then I told him, I said, I'm going to hold a vision for you, that you're going to get employment, that you're going to be able to take care of your family, your daughters, your wife, and I'm going to hold that. That's what because I'm not emotionally attached. He sees all the things that can go wrong. I don't see that. I just see him at his highest order. And he said, well, what can I do for you? And I said, I'm getting this house, man. I'm scared of, I'm trying to work all this stuff out. It's embarrassing. What if you don't get it? And he said, I'm going to hold a vision for you that you're going to get this house, that this is going to work out for you. So we decided to do that. And in that moment, by that afternoon, he called me. He goes, you're not going to believe me. And I said, try me. He said, I got a job at a children's hospital. He's an RN in Austin. And he said, I'm going to continue to hold that vision for you. And we've moved through it, and Amy and I closed September 1st. So that's what we can do for each other. That's another form of service. So as I've been talking about different kinds of service, whether it's putting a chair, whether it's making the coffee, whether it's just calling a friend and holding a vision. He wasn't asking me to give him money. He wasn't asking me to give him a job, right? I was just saying, how can I hold this vision for you? Amy and I started calling up anytime our friends were on the phone, I'd be like, Amy, ask them what vision we can hold for them. And they would be like, what? And I'd read them those 2 pages. They would tell us what they were going through, and then we would say that affirmation of that vision. What about Jesus? Did Jesus come here to be served, or did he come here to serve? And if you look at the story, when Jesus grabs the towel and he starts washing the disciples' feet, and then he instructs them to do this for one another. And he's showing it's not about washing his own feet. He came to serve us. He came to serve in that way. And that's the way I see that, is in a life of service. And that's really where the power is, in dedicating our life to that service. So we're here, though, to celebrate service. I just wanted you to understand how important service is, that not only is it where our healing comes from, it's also how we connect to that higher spirituality. It's how we cure that spiritual malady. And it doesn't matter how small it is. I want you to remember The guy with alcoholic hepatitis, somebody, I don't even know who they are, put a chair. And because of that chair, I'm alive and I'm speaking on this stage today. You don't know the power and impact you have in other people's lives. And guess what? Through that, how it changes your life. And so as a kind of a call to action, we have a volunteer, a love in action fair today. Maybe it's not a fair, but a service fair, and many opportunities to sign up. And you don't have to sign up for everything, but I would highly suggest to sign up for something. Sign up for one thing. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know if you help do the bird boxes that somebody's going to come here who's struggling and hear a bird chirp that's going to give them a signal into their lives to make a change. We don't know if you come in here and set the chairs or make the coffee, and that person that comes through the door that needed it that day is going to be the next person speaking up here in 5 or 6 years. We don't know, right? And we don't do it because I do it selfishly too, because it helps me. But at the same time, I don't do it for recognition. I do it because it fills my spirit, it fills my soul, it gives me a purpose. Because I spent a lot of time trying to drink to fill that hole, and now I spend a lot of time trying to be of service. And that's what I ask myself, how can I be of service? How can I be of service to you? So with that, I would like to call up my beautiful wife, Amy. I think I hit the time. And
Thank you so much. Well, he does all the heavy lifting for me in the speaking, Now I just get to stand up here and say thank you to everyone who is in service day in and day out for our wonderful, wonderful community. So with that, and this is just such a fun part of my job, right? To be the volunteer coordinator here and to coordinate everyone. And it honestly, it doesn't even take a lot of coordination. Everyone just jumps up. And just like, I was just so amazed at just we're setting up for the volunteer fair, but I go in there and everybody's tables are set up. Everything's done. And I'm like, how easy does this make it for me? It's so wonderful. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. So just the first people that I would love to thank is the welcome team. So from the time that we walk into the door on Sunday and are greeted by all the smiling little faces, those are our welcome team, whether it's someone visiting for the first time or returning after many years. You help create the sense of belonging that makes Unity so special. Oh, I'm gonna have to really breathe into this. This is like really opening my heart up here. And a warm welcome can change someone's entire day. And so thank you for opening your hearts to everyone that steps through this door. And Jean Newsom, she's the team lead for the welcome team. And just for time, I'm not gonna read everybody that is on the welcome team. So I've made little slides up there so you can see, and I would just love to acknowledge everyone. And can y'all see those? Yeah, I would just love to acknowledge Jean. She does such an amazing job and just keeping that team just flowing. Everyone signs up just religiously. It's never a challenge, and thank you all so much for that. And then our next team is the tech team. So with the tech team, you may not see what they do so much. Well, you do, right? You do. Whether it's running the sound, projecting the lyrics and messages, live streaming our services, or troubleshooting behind the scenes. Your dedication helps every service flow smoothly. Most people never see the countless details you manage, but your faithful service allows our congregation, both in person and online, to fully experience each Sunday celebration. So Janet Cobb, she's our team scheduler, and she makes sure that we have everyone in place on Sundays, and we just really appreciate that team for keeping everything running so smoothly. Thank you. And at this time, I'll also just recognize Sue as you know, Mako did recently. She's amazing, and she's usually there on those slides, but she also creates all the slides. She does so much for us. Thank you, Sue. And then next, we have the platform and Sunday service volunteers. These lovely people that sit up here, and they come up here every day, or every Sunday, and they keep our Sunday services flowing and organized, and they will in welcoming each week. From reading our statements of faith and daily word to sharing Sunday announcements, they help make sure everything comes together seamlessly. And a special thank you to Aida. She coordinates all of these moving pieces behind the scenes. And thank you for all sharing your time and your voices with us, and for helping create such a beautiful Sunday experience for our entire church family. We really appreciate you. And then another behind-the-scenes coordination that many of us may not quite notice, but Aida also coordinates the service team, and they make sure that the lights are on so that we can come here, and they make sure that the cookies are out. And like Josh mentioned, the very important, the coffee is here, and then even cleaning up, make sure that they're the last ones out so that we can have this amazing service. And Raphael and Tanya, Carol, thank you for doing that for us. And then the safety team, led by Nick. I don't know if many people are very aware of this, but they keep a watchful eye on the community during service. And there's an iPad that they make sure that everything's safe and cameras are good outside. And I want to give Elton a real big thank you, running the camera back there. And he's responsible for setting up all the cameras around our church. And many, many other things that he does. Thank you, Elton. And then we have the chaplains team. Chaplains lead the gathering prayers. Molly, what an amazing prayer this morning. Oh my goodness. And they offer one-on-one prayers and receive prayer requests in the fireside room, and they pray over those. And Cecilia Timone, she's the team leader for that, and she so wonderfully manages that group. Thank you so much. But we also have a prayer team, and that's led by Diane Marion. And the prayer team is a layperson group that holds sacred space for requests shared in the fireside room and those sent to the church online. Confidentiality is the vital center of this sacred service. And that one you could get them a bit confused, but we have a lot of prayers going out, and isn't that wonderful? Thank you. And then also currently led and operated by Diane and Roger Marion is our new library. If y'all haven't visited the library, it's wonderful. It's super organized, and they've done an amazing job, so I really want to acknowledge them in that. And then they also would really love to have a new team set up for that. So we're going to, in the volunteer fair, we have a little sign-up sheet. If you're interested in helping out, we're going to do that once a month, just like we do with the other teams. So you'll see that in there. And then next, we have the Serenity Garden. I'd love to give our team leaders, Mike Kemp and Tommy Potts, just a big round of applause, because they've done such a wonderful job to get that place set up, and they come day in and day out, spend a lot of hours in that garden. And I think that It's such a beautiful space. We have the campouts there once a year, or actually a couple of times a year, right? 2 or 3? Yeah, so definitely come and join in one of those and enjoy the garden that they've set up for us, and also donate a lot of food to different communities, which is really amazing. And then Shane and Mike and Phil, thank you for helping them. And then keeping it to how beautiful our grounds are out there, to our next one, Wildlife and Trails team led by Andrea. And Andrea is also the vice president of our board, which is very wonderful that she can. I will just take the opportunity now that all of our board members are so amazing, and they also lead groups and do service in many ways, not only leading our church with difficult decisions and things like that, they also have the great honor to be team leads for us too. So thank you for that. And so every third Saturday of the month, the Wildlife and Trails team meets, and we have a great big team there, as you can see, and I just want to thank everyone for doing that and keeping our grounds very beautiful. And then we have the Adopt a Highway team, led by Ann and Steve Olfelder. Beautiful team. And they have been doing this for several years. 7 or 8, see? You know? So thank you so much. And this beautiful team that walks out there in the heat of the mornings here in Texas and keeps our stretch of the highway very clean. So thank you for your time, your hard work, dedication to our stretch of the highway. Appreciate you. And then our Bird Box team, my favorite, only because I just think it's so cute, is led by Susan Winkler, who is our board secretary. Thank you, Susan. And the following ladies monitor the 11 bird boxes that we have here on our property. And this helps the church maintain our property tax exemption, saving thousands each year. So thank you so much for that. And then another very, very special team is the care team. And the care team works behind the scenes, and it is quite an amazing team. They've really actually touched my life a ton. So our care team is a compassionate group of service-oriented members who quietly support and operate behind the scenes to offer temporary assistance to our community who are in need. So they'll take people to doctor's appointments and pick up prescriptions and cook food and all kinds of things. And even additional things that they'll do is like organize the summer holiday food, the summer food drives, the holiday food drives, the hams. So very, very busy there is Alice and Hannah. Thank you so much for doing that for us. And then we have the potluck team, our beloved potluck team. When I first came, our first day was a potluck. And whenever I saw how the potluck team ran, I was just amazed, you know. Honestly, it's really I was like, I want to come to this church. This is so beautiful. Just as Josh mentioned, we're so much in service, and I could see how much loving service that team brought to our Sundays once a month, you know. And I love the little cloth napkins and people picking up the plates, and it's a very well organized team. So thank you, Linda. Thank you, Carol, for running that for us. And thank you for all the helping hands that make Sunday potluck such a wonderful, wonderful event for our community. Yes. And then the crisis bread basket. I don't actually have a slide made for that one. What? I'm so sorry. Betty, Tommy, thank you for doing all of the wonderful things that you do for this community, especially Crisis Bread Basket, Pavlova, I think it's her name, but Subrata, everything. You've really been an amazing part of this community, and thank you so much. And then we'll move on. I got to speed it up just a little. I only have a couple more, but you know, it's just great to acknowledge everyone, right? And the Unity Men's Group is led by Roger Marion, and this is a very beautiful, amazing group. Very busy too. They do 2 monthly events. The men's breakfast on the second Saturday of each month, and the men's night out on the fourth Thursday of each month. And they've also sponsored church picnics, drumming circles, and they typically do the holiday lunches at the beginning of December. So thank you, Roger and team, for keeping our men's group facilitated. And it is the men's members of the Men's Council, or the current members, are Mike Hanna, Scott Price, Richard Newsom, John Criswell, Billy Milwee, and Roger Marion. Again, thank you so much. And then Women's Night Out. All women are welcome to this event. Monica Alexander is the one that organizes these events, and they're hosted in different people's homes every month. Thank you to our hosts, and thank you so much to Christine, who has hosted. She's like our super host, who hosts all the time, not just Women's Night Out, but everything, football, parties, everything. Thank you so much for everything you do, Christine. And then also led by Monica is the community table, the new, what has transitioned into Supper Hub, couldn't get it out, to community table. And she's done such an amazing job just creating beautiful events for us. And thank you for creating those meaningful and events and bringing our community together while supporting our church, because it's a great fundraiser for our church as well. And the team of community table members also made goodies for our fair today. So enjoy all our cookies and things. They're so kind. Thank you all. And then finally, I want to honor a very important part of our church, the youth and family ministries. Program Director Mimi Curry, and all the amazing volunteers that keep this space, the youth, and the community safe and thriving. We appreciate you. So my deepest appreciation for all of this love and action. Every hour you give, every phone call you make, every event you help with, every meal you prepare, every child you welcome, every service you support, and every little thing you do behind the scenes helps make Unity the community that it is. So everyone, thank you. Okay. This is a little nose. Okay. With all of that love and everything in our heart, I hope your hearts are as open as mine is now, with the gratitude for this beautiful, amazing community and this love in action. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead us just into a very quick meditation. And it's just a heart lock-in so we can spread the love to ourselves and to others. So if you'll just close your eyes Focus and shift your attention to the area of your chest or your heart. And imagine your breath is flowing smoothly in and out from that area, taking slow, deep breaths. Now I want you to pull up a feeling of appreciation. Feel the attitude of care, compassion, or deep appreciation for yourself. And now I want you to radiate that feeling of love to everybody around you, everyone in our community, all the beautiful people that we were so wonderfully able to give our appreciation to. Now maintain this state continuously, gently bringing your focus back to your heart. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Amy and Joshua, thank you so much for your service. Now, as we prepare our offerings with love and gratitude, we activate the law of giving and receiving. We complete this sacred circle as we affirm that our spiritual community thrives through faith and the generous contributions of all who call it home. As our ushers step forward, let us infuse our offerings with intention and love. And to our cherished online family, if this lesson uplifts your spiritual experience, please consider including us in your abundance practice. Your donations elevate our shared journey. We thank you for the gifts you have sent already and affirm the gifts you are sending now. For all our giving options, please scan or tap the QR code on the screen or on the back of the chair in front of you. And now, let us offer this affirmation of abundance together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
When you're down, troubled, and you need a helping hand, nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me. Soon I will be there, yeah, to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. See you again. Winter, spring. and that old north wind begins to blow. Well, baby, keep your head together and call my name out loud. Yeah, because soon I will be knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you've got to do is call, and I'll be there. Oh, well, now ain't it good to know that you got a friend? People can be so cold. They'll hurt you, oh, they'll desert you, baby. They're gonna take your soul if you let them. Don't you let them. No, 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 you just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, oh, I'll come running, baby, yeah. Gonna see you again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you've got to do is call, hold and I'll be there. Oh, you got a friend. I said you got a friend. Oh, I said you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You got a friend.
Absolutely fantastic. Oh, that was glorious. Thank you, band, and thank you to our lovely backup singers in the back of the sanctuary. With full hearts, let us bless these gifts. Together, we bless these gifts and the givers with our love and gratitude. Well, next Sunday, August 30th, Shane Elmore will be back. Shane's talk is entitled, What Does It Mean to Believe? Please plan to attend. We're still collecting donations for the 4th annual Unity of Wimberley Tag Sale, which comes up on September 19th. Gentlemen, we need your donations too. Clean out those closets and bring your stuff to the room on the left, down the hallway past the business office. Pavlova has left the building. It's true, I saw her waddling out. Oh, it looks like here to tell you more about Pavlova is Betty Potts.
What we need to say is thank you. Thank you very much. Your generosity and your sense of fun in feeding the piggy bank, Miss Pavlova, who is now on tour at my house, proves that your pocket change, your jelly jars, all of those things that you had at home that you have been saving, you didn't know why, this is why. Your donations, mostly pennies, but not all, added up to $692.11. So, indeed, thank you very much.
Thank you, Betty. And thank you, Pavlova. Any resemblance between Pavlova and late period Elvis is strictly coincidental. Next Sunday, join us after the service for Sundays on Sunday. If there's anything I like more than a donut, and my men's group friends know how much I like donuts, it is a hot fudge sundae. Stay and enjoy fun, fellowship, and lots of ice cream and toppings. This special treat is presented by the community table team on a love offering basis with a suggested donation of $5 to $10. And all proceeds benefit the church. Hope to see you there. Our Unity chaplains will be celebrating World Day of Prayer on September 6th. Prayer will be the focus of the lesson, with chaplains sharing blessings and prayers during and after the service. Unity World Headquarters will also be holding online events from September 7th to September 11th. Visit unity.org for more info and registration. We invite you to join us for the Wimberley Pride Parade on Saturday, September 19th. If you would like to march, help decorate, or simply show your support, please RSVP on the events page or reach out to Monica Alexander at alexander.monica2@gmail.com. For all other announcements and happenings, please see the rotating video after the service in the sanctuary, fireside room, and library TVs. And as always, you can visit the events page of the website. If you're visiting today, if you're here for the first time perhaps, please consider filling out a blue information card located on the front foyer table, or access an online visitor card through the tap tags on the chairs so we can properly connect with you. As a reminder, Molly Steele will be available to pray with you after the service up here on the stage. And now let's send a blessing to our children in the classrooms. Together, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you just the way you are. And now please join us as we pray our prayer of protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God